real estate, with whatever it is, I expect to get $3,000 back by the end of 2025, right? Or if I invest $5 per month for this payment processor, I expect to do an increase of 20 sales per month, which will net me an extra $1,000 per month, right? So you want to do some measurements, and after it's been 3 months, 6 months, depending on the investment, a year, you then can go back to this KPI, measure it. Am I hitting what I wanted to hit? Is this investment yielding the return that I wanted to yield? If not, it's time to let it go. And we've had to let some investments go, right? Married, and only 2% of Black families in America have a net worth over $1 million.
We are on our journey to not only join that 2%, but grow that 2%.
Facts. I'm Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd. You can go to our website at them4show.com, our Instagram at them4show, and our YouTube channel at Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making.
And welcome to the M4 Show. Welcome back, community, to the M4 Show. If this is your first time tuning into the show, thank you for joining us. On today's episode, we are going to go through the top 5 lessons to learn from the richest man ever. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. And of course, I have the beautiful, the smiling, the chef-orific, melanated millionaire herself, in the making, herself. Please introduce yourself.
What is up, everybody? My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
All right, cool. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
That's who I am. What's up?
Let's get into it. So we're going through the top 5 lessons that you can learn. If you stay all the way into the end, that last lesson is really like the biggest mistake that this rich person made that made them lose everything. But before we go into it, we got to go through just the top 3 richest men right now. 2023, top 3. And unfortunately, I know all the queens are out there. Why richest men?
I was like, why can't we just richest people?
It is richest people, but they just all happen to be men.
And just then let that be. But it's the top 3 richest people.
Okay. That is true. I didn't want to be misleading and be like richest people, and then people thinking that there's gonna be a woman on the list, when in reality I really tried to. I was like, richest people, richest persons in the world, and I was like, nah. Men dominating, unfortunately. Sinclair, go to get him though.
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Elon.
Yep. Oh, well, there you go. So number 1 is Elon. I see you. If y'all know how much Elon Musk is worth, go ahead and put that inside the comments. But if you didn't know, he is currently worth a whopping $243 billion. All right. If you've been living under a rock for the past few years, if you don't drive a car, if you don't like intergalactic space travel, he is the co-founder and CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, The Boring Company, and has recently purchased Twitter. And something that was interesting to me is he only owns Twitter. What's the word? How do you say Twitter? Twitter. I sound too proper?
Too proper.
Proper. You know, I'm from Bedford. Insider. But he only owns 13% of Tesla, which is very surprising. I think we see Elon and we see the wealth, and we just assume that he's owning like a controlling majority stake. Only owns 13%, and that 13% is worth $108 billion. Craziness. All right, number 2 on the list, and I don't really know how to pronounce this person's name. I'll be honest with you. I think everyone is rocking these luxury brands, and probably no one actually knows the person behind these brands. And this is Bernard Arnault. I think I said that correctly. It sounded right. Bernard Arnault. And he is worth over $200 billion. And he is the chair and CEO of LVMH. You know what that is, Queen?
No.
LVMH? No? You don't know none of those brands. LV.
Oh, Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton.
What is the next one?
M. Think of like a luxury brand that starts with the M, not Maserati. Y'all know it? Marc Jacobs.
I would have never come up with that. I don't really know luxury brand like that.
And then H. Think of
Hermes?
it's a good one actually. Hennessy though.
Oh, I would have never guessed that either.
Yeah, no. So this man owns Louis Vuitton, or the rights behind Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, Marc Jacobs, Sephora, Christian Dior. He up in all the stores. So this is most of his wealth comes from his ownership stake in the Christian Dior SE holding company that controls 41.4% of LVMH. Right? And then his shares in Christian Dior, plus some shares in Louis V, are all held in his family-owned holding company.
Smart.
Do you see the levels?
Yeah. He's strategic with
He's
this.
very strategic with it. We're not even getting into the sauce of the episode, and already you can start to get a little bit of lessons from Elon, right? Own a publicly traded company, and you don't have to own a majority of it to have wealth. You need to be using other people's money, leverage that, leverage your own genius, and create wealth for yourself. This dude, Bernard Arnault. Listen, don't come for me, Bernard. I'm messing your name up. Don't come for me. But the fact that he has the different levels of his company, the holding company, he has the Christian Dior company, and then that's controlling what the LVMH is doing. And then again, public shares everyone can own. And then lastly, before we get into the richest person in history, see that? I said person. I see you. Jeff Bezos. Some people say Bezos. I'm pretty sure it's Bezos.
I'm pretty sure it's Bezos.
Bezos, yes. He is worth $154 billion. And if you don't know what he owns, I don't know what to tell you. You haven't gone shopping in the past 15 years.
They don't have a jingle. I was not trying to think of like
Amazon.
Like I'm loving it. Like they don't have a.
They don't. They just got that smile.
Right.
You think they need a jingle?
No, I don't think they need.
Based on the billions.
You're right. Yeah, I think they're fine. But it's just interesting that they don't have one when most other like big brands have either a saying or a jingle.
What's Target's jingle or saying?
I just think of Target. I don't know what they actually say.
Promise you that's not the official jingle. It's like save more, spend less. It's probably something like that. Anyway, founder and executive chair of Amazon. Of course, he has the Blue Horizon company, Amazon Alexa, all the other subsidiaries of Amazon. They're doing a lot. But how much ownership does he have over Amazon, Sinclair? How much do you think?
Well, now I would have said probably over 50% before, but like now I'll probably say like 36.
This man owns 10% of Amazon. And that 10% is worth $129 billion. All right. So again, I feel like sometimes, and this is a lesson even for me, I think I need to control the entire company. I need to own the entire company to have wealth or to have that legacy. But the wealthiest men in the world are sharing that power. I had a bar the other day when we were doing our other video shoot. I said something around the effect that real power is shared, not hoarded.
Yes.
All right. Real wealth is shared, not hoarded. And we can see this in the list of the top 3 wealthiest people in history, or not in history, today.
Right.
Now, y'all ready for the wealthiest person in history? The wealthiest person in history. The emperor and king over the Malayan Empire, worth over $400 billion. And that's just looking at his gold. It's not counting real estate, art, all the other natural resources and minerals. We have Mansa Musa, the emperor over Mali from 1312 to 1337. I
tried to keep the drama going as long as possible. Ran out of air.
I appreciate the effort, Queen. You did your thing. Queen, I already know you've been exposed to Mansa Musa a few times by your esteemed professor. What have you learned? Who's your esteemed professor?
You. This guy.
Got him.
Professor Truvel.
Ooh. That's my jingle. That's my jingle right there.
you can put me on the spot. So,
and if you forgot everything, don't worry. We're going to go through 5 lessons right now, literally.
So Mansa Musa was the, what'd you call it, emperor?
Emperor
Emperor
yes.
over the Malayan Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he had just a bunch of gold. And unfortunately, I don't want to give away what I really know about.
Don't give it all away.
Because that's what really stuck to me of like, dang, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's a good cliffhanger.
Right,
leave them holding.
Okay.
leave them holding, right? And if y'all know about Mansa Musa and y'all watching on YouTube, go ahead and leave comments about what you know about Mansa Musa. If you're currently driving, please keep driving. Listen to the podcast. We appreciate you. When you get somewhere safe, go ahead and leave a comment. But lesson number 1, and you probably know this, but he inherited his kingdom from his uncle, Mansa Abubakari. Mansa Abubakari II. Right, if I'm being very specific. And he served as his uncle's deputy, right? So he was like it's like maybe 2 tiers down. You're basically the assistant. You're doing everything that the king needs you to do, right? You're like the right hand person. And Mansa Abubakari wanted to travel the world. He wanted to go and just see where the edge of the world fell off, where it met. So he went off on his voyage. He took some gold, took some people with him, took some grains, and he just shipped off. And because he never returned, based on Malayan culture, the deputy is supposed to assume the mantle, right? So he gained the throne, gained his inheritance from his uncle, right? So the lesson there is learn to serve a mentor and help someone else learn from someone else, and then inherit their riches, inherit their nonprofit, inherit their business, whatever it is that they have to give you. I think sometimes we always want to build something ourselves, and we don't take the time to be humble enough to learn at the feet of somebody else, even if it's for free sometimes. Right. Anything you want to sprinkle on that first lesson, Queen?
I'm just wondering, like, so what would have happened if all of a sudden he came back like, all right, I'm back?
Then he would assume the throne again. He's the king.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The rightful king.
You think, was that the plan? Or like, I'm gonna go and then you're gonna now take over, or that's just what transpired?
I think that's just what's transpired. So here's the thing: this is not proven, right? So I know all the scholars are gonna get on me. This is not hard facts evidence, but juice. Yeah, I got a little bit of tea. Got a little bit of tea for y'all. All right. So most scientists know, of course, clear evidence that there's ocean currents, right, in the Atlantic that go from the west coast of Africa all the way to the east coast of South America and the Americas. So they got on the boat leaving Africa, and legend says that they actually hit these currents, and the boats took them all the way to South America. They landed there, and we see like the Olmec heads in South America. We see the African influence, the pyramids being built. There's an abundance of gold that was there as well. So my hypothesis, and it's what some other scholars say as well, that he wanted to leave, discover new land, and build another Mali or build another kingdom in the other land. So I think it was possibly his plan to never come back. Y'all, let me know if y'all have more books on it. Please send my way. But that's lesson number 1. All right, learn and serve a mentor, and then inherit their kingdom,
or even their like wealth, or like knowledge. Right? It doesn't always have to be like, now you get the business, but now you are seeing how to run the business, right, from the inside. So now you can take that, and if it's not being passed over to you or passed down to you or whatever, but now you have the gems to do it yourself. And so I think, if it's not something physical you're inheriting, you're at least being able to see the inner workings of a successful business, whatever it is.
Exactly. All right, number 2. All right, number 2 is the Kingdom of Mali had an abundance of natural resources, minerals, gold, silver, salt, and they did a lot of trading with other nations. Right. And they traded in order to get what their nation lacked. So if they didn't have salts, if they didn't have horses, spices, and other natural resources that weren't available in Mali, they used the abundance of gold, the abundance of spices that they had within their kingdom to trade to get things that they didn't have. Right. So the lesson there is leverage your abundance to obtain items and resources you don't have access to.
That's good.
All right. So think about what is your natural resource, your natural gift, or something that you are just abundant with. All right. And I'm gonna come to you in a second, Queen. So think about what you're abundant in, my dove. All right. So for me, it might be I'm abundant in my ability to speak. I can talk. I can talk, right? So how do I leverage my ability to talk and trade that for a resource that I might not have a lot of, whether it's wisdom, right? So it could be I'm gonna go speak for someone for free so that I can have access to them to ask these questions and gain access to a network. It could be speaking for actual money, actual resources. One that I do often, and it's actually what Markel does often, that I also leverage my relationship with Markel with, is he has access to making really high quality clothing. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of organizations that want high quality clothing, t-shirts, backpacks, etc. So me and Markel usually partner up, and we're able to leverage ourselves to give them a resource that they need, and then in return they give us something that we need. So think about what you have in abundance of: knowledge, skills, resources, a network of people that you then can leverage to get something that you don't have a lot of. Queen,
okay.
I've stalled long enough.
Promise you, I was just listening to you the whole time.
As you should. I see
so
you.
Dreamy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You want me to answer for you? You got it. I think you got it.
You gonna tell me what I'm abundant in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds kind of cute.
Yeah. You want me to do so? The queen is abundant in, of course, her health knowledge.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, health knowledge. I was asking her about altheanines, right? And I was saying it wrong, but she still knew exactly what I meant. Mm-hmm. She was able to school me on a little bit. She's also abundant in her chef skills, right? Being able to cook up a nice, delicious meal. She can probably couple those to cook a nice, delicious, but also healthy meal. All these are abundant resources that she can trade for other things, right?
Yep.
Boom. All right. So again, think about what you got. And if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment and let us know what abundance you have that you might be able to leverage and trade. Number 3. You ready?
Modeling for you.
I appreciate you. Number 3. So once Mansa Musa became the king, he realized that merchants on the trade routes were being robbed. Right. So people were coming from India, people were coming from China, and they were trying to do business with Mali. But some of the, I don't want to call them pirates, I don't know what they would call other than thieves, right? Some of the thieves that were within the trade routes, the hooligans, right, were robbing some of the merchants that were trying to do business. So that was decreasing the GDP, or the gross domestic product of Mali, just because of there was intersections where they weren't able to make trade. Mm-hmm. Right. So number 3 is you need to assess the limitations of your wealth generation and invest in people and infrastructure that can help grow your wealth or grow your cash flow. So what Mansa Musa did was he sent soldiers out to the trade routes to protect the merchants. So now more people were able to come through, mm-hmm. get to Mali, exchange the salt for silk, exchange the horses for gold, exchange different things. So now Mali is able to get more and more resources, more and more things. Other merchants from other nations are able to then go back to China, go back to India, go back to Pakistan, go back to Europe and say, hey, we just got all this gold from Mali, man. Y'all got to go there. It's real dope. Here's the road. There's security. You'll be good, right? So now
there's security.
There's security. It's dope. First VIP trade routes in history. But now more and more people are doing business with Mali, and it literally put the Malayan Empire on the map, because then Europe started producing maps that showed Mali as a part of their own trade route.
I remember you talking about this before, and I think that's one of my favorite things that I like about Mansa Musa that he did.
Why?
Just because it was like, it is, and of course I don't know the entire I guess inspiration behind that. Like, I don't know if it was purely selfish of like
a businessman,
right? Yeah. But it does still help out a lot of other people. It helps out other countries. It helps like keep people safe. Yeah, it makes sure that they can go back home to their families. It also makes sure that there is a trade, which means that there is a benefit to both sides, right? So I think it does at the end of the day help out a lot of different people outside of just the Malayan Empire, outside of just Mansa Musa. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really cool, and almost kind of like, I don't know that he necessarily was the sole person responsible for doing that, but he still took the responsibility of like, you know what, I have the resources and ability to do this. So soldiers, do your thing.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's good. So how would you translate this to 2023? You're a family trying to build wealth. You're a business trying to gain more customers, right? It's investing in people or infrastructure that can help grow your business, right? What does that look like today?
I feel like it can look like a lot of different things. So I have a really, I guess, small example that happened to us, which was, when we first were coming up with the prototype of the first edition of Black Wall Street, the board game. We had a Facebook group where we had a lot of people who were giving us advice or giving us feedback, right? Customer feedback on like, what do you all want to see? Like, do you like this or do you like this? There was a family, I don't know if they were in this Facebook group or how they ended up getting a version of the game, but they gave us the feedback that they were, their entire family was colorblind. So to us as business people, that is a hindrance for them to enjoy our product. And so we had to then figure out like, okay, how can we make a change so that other people like this, other colorblind folks out in the community can still enjoy our product, can still enjoy the wealth that is coming from our product. And so we started creating little icons, right? So that you can still play the game, you can still understand everything, you can still learn the Black history without needing to see that this square is red or this square is blue. So I think that's a small example of like making a tweak. I'm also thinking about like, when you were talking about like security, I was thinking about like Securitas. And so like the big like security company, this is not a plug, that's just the first thing that came to me. But like even like at one of my old jobs, there was I guess some incidents where folks were leaving because it was a 24-hour operation. Folks were leaving and there was like some suspect people outside. So then we started to get 24-hour security. So it's just the fact that like, okay, I have a hindrance of people being able to come to work and leave safely. And so how can I solve that? Okay, let's put in security. So I feel like it's a similar concept there.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was good. I think I want to sprinkle on maybe one more. I do really like the idea of that family that gave us the direct feedback and your community being the infrastructure, being the people that you are investing in to then give you more feedback on how you can make your business better. All right, that was good. Another one is just like a real simple one, a payment processor. I think a lot of people start businesses and whether it's that they start off just doing hand-to-hand transactions and sales, and then you move off to doing stuff on your website and you just have like a direct credit card enter situation. But a lot of people, especially my grandma, she's not down for putting her credit card information into a random website,
right?
But people do know PayPal, they know Stripe, they know Square. So these are other infrastructure that you can invest in to make it more safe, or at least the perception of safety for your customers to do business with you.
Yep.
Right. So again, think of the dark web as these thieves along the desert, and think of the soldiers that Mansa Musa is sending out as the different payment processors, making sure that the money gets to the person that's supposed to get to.
I think one thing to keep in mind too is it is an investment. Yes. Right. I'm assuming Mansa Musa paid these soldiers, right? So that was him investing money into go and protect the trade route so that
I just feel threatened right now.
So that eventually it can bring in more wealth for the country and for other folks. Same thing with like a payment processor. I feel like probably the hindrance for a lot of people doing that is, I'm going to lose the fee, or I got to pay a fee now. That's the investment, right? You have to invest your time and effort into bringing that into a part of your business so that you can open the door for more customers, because otherwise you are shutting out a whole customer base. And so there is a lot of potential for more profit and more wealth that you could be bringing in. So it's an investment for future benefit.
I'll say. Okay, Quinn, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we get back, we got one more lesson, and then like another kind of lesson, but it's built on the biggest mistake Mansa Musa made that made him lose everything.
It's hurtful.
It is very hurtful, y'all. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Look, we're going to get right back into the amazing podcast. But if you didn't know, in 2017, we created Black Wall Street, the board game, because we thought more families needed to know about the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street. More families needed to know about the legacy of Black excellence left behind of Tulsa Black Wall Street, that we can own a Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon. We can have a Booker T. Washington High School. We can have an Uncle Steve's Barbecue. We can have a Renaissance man like Simon Berry, who had his own taxi service and bus service that got bought out by the city of Tulsa. We have brilliance in our DNA. We wanted to make sure that your family can play a game that teaches them about this brilliance. So we have Black Wall Street, the board game right here. We had the first edition available in 2017. That got sold out. We're on the second edition right now, or you can get the beautiful masterpiece version of the game as well. It's up to you. Head to playblackwallstreet.com and get yourself Black Wall Street, the board game, to empower you, your family, and generations to come. Playblackwallstreet.com. Let's get back to the episode. All right, so we got one more lesson and a mistake, but we did have a question come in. Queen, can you use your amazing eyes to read this question?
Yes, it says, when does the investment become a mistake? And when do you need to pull back?
Ooh, that's great. That's great. So something that we use within strategic planning, and I'm sure in other strategy sessions as well, is called KPIs. Mm-hmm. Right? Key performance indicators. So you have this investment, whether it's $5 a month, $100 a month, $1,000 a month. Set a KPI for it, mm-hmm. right? So if I invest this $1,000 every single month with a payment processor, with real estate, with whatever it is, I expect to get $3,000 back by the end of 2025, right? Or if I invest $5 per month for this payment processor, I expect to do a increase of 20 sales per month, which will net me an extra $1,000 per month, right? So you want to do some measurements, and after it's been 3 months, 6 months, depending on the investment, a year, you then can go back to this KPI, measure it. Am I hitting what I wanted to hit? Is this investment yielding the return that I wanted to yield? If not, it's time to let it go. And we've had to let some investments go, mm-hmm. right? Queen, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think just like he said, come up with a goal, like a realistic goal. If you adopt this new infrastructure or whatever it is, like just staying with the same example, you start using PayPal, you add PayPal to your website, whatever it is, you use Stripe and now you're paying an extra fee. It's not going to yield results tomorrow. Likely it could, but unlikely that it's going to be, you're going to get that return within a day or a week or a month, right? It kind of depends on what you're doing, but give yourself a realistic goal, right? Like you said, over 3 months. I think a quarter is a good probably place to start. So over a period of 3 months, what is a realistic goal you expect to happen from making this change? And again, be realistic with it. And if you don't hit that goal, then start asking questions, right? I think that's where I would start before you just say like, okay, didn't hit it, didn't work. Let's go. Let's, go back to the old way. Maybe also implement some type of feedback loop for the customers you do have. Like, how was this process for you? How would you improve it? I feel like I would try to put some feelers out into the community and say, hey, how do you feel about this? If you haven't purchased from me, why not? And just starting to get like, okay, maybe it's not the payment processor that's the problem, right? Maybe it's something else. Maybe your price is too high. Maybe they're just not resonating with the product, whatever it is. I would say start to do a little bit of digging before you decide like, okay, this just isn't working. Yeah, I think that's what I would recommend. Start with a quarter, 3 months, and give yourself a realistic goal. If you hit it, great, keep going. You've probably made the right decision. If you don't, do some customer research before you just pull the plug on it, just to see if there's maybe another factor that is hindering your growth.
Yep, very good, very good. Thank you for the question. Now getting into lesson number 4, right? And this goes to something that we talk about all the time on this podcast. Something I'm very, very passionate in, but the Queen doesn't always agree 100%. And that's building institutions or businesses that can then replicate the culture that you believe in.
Why do I not agree with that?
You don't believe in it. So here's the running argument. And the running argument is, should every family have a business? I say absolutely. The Queen says, maybe. It depends, right? I'm just like, no, absolutely, yes. Every family needs a business or a business structure. So that's why I'm like, we disagree a little bit. But based on the legacy of Mansa Musa, right? What he's also very known for is building schools all across Mali and building mosques all across Mali. Right. So again, these are institutions that are replicating what he believed in, which is education. He was also a Muslim and he did his Hajj to Mecca as well. So he was building mosques so other people can then have their connection with the religion as well. And those are institutions that were replicating a culture and a set of values that he believed in. So for you, something, again, a lesson is, how can you replicate your culture and your values? Whether it's a family nonprofit, whether it's a school that you want to build, whether it's a podcast, it's a book, it's a health coaching program. Like, how can you create an institution, a product, a service that can live hundreds of years after you and continue to uphold the culture and the values that you believed in? Queen, how you feeling about that?
I love that. I definitely like the idea that I think that's part of the legacy, right? That's part of building legacy is having an infrastructure to pass down the values, the upholdings, the beliefs, or whatever that you want future generations to uphold. So yeah, I really like that he was all about that, and I think that's part of what made him successful as just as the richest man ever in history. Like, part of why we're still talking about him. How many years?
This is 1337. This is 900 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Come on, y'all want to be talking about 900 years from now? That is literally crazy.
Yeah.
But those are the 4 lessons so far from Mansa Musa. Again, going backwards, we want you to build an institution, a business, a product, something that replicates your culture and your values. We want you to assess the limitations of your wealth generation and invest in people or infrastructures that can then grow your wealth or your cash flow. We want you to leverage your abundance, your gifts, your skills, your knowledge, your resources, your lovely eyes. I see you, Queen. In order to gain resources that you don't have access to. And then lastly, we want you to learn and serve a mentor that can help accelerate your own development. All right. So those are 4 key lessons from the legacy of the richest man ever. But he did make one mistake, y'all.
That's a big one.
He did make a mistake. And the mistake was what, Queen?
He didn't have a succession plan. So he had all of this money, but the next generation after that lost it all.
All of it.
All of it. So I think that he did a great job in instilling this in himself, but maybe not so much in the future generations. How he inherited this from, right, his uncle. He should have had a next person who inherited this, who knew what they were doing, who was that right-hand person, so that they could really continue it on. Because the fact that, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but the fact that, again, all of this wealth was gone within one generation, to me shows that those values were not really ingrained.
Right.
They weren't really embodied by whoever that money was left to. So they just got a bunch of money and it's gone. I feel like it's the almost the same thing you hear about, like when people win the lottery, right? They come up on all this money, but they have no education, right? They just get money. There's no education on how to invest it. There's no financial, literacy.
They forget about the taxes that
right,
hit them.
all of these things. And so same thing with athletes, right? There's so many people and stories that we hear about folks who are not they don't come from a wealthy background. They were not instilled with these lessons growing up, who now come into wealth and lose it because they are not instilled with those really key lessons on how to keep the money and have it grow from generations.
And that's the point that I want to harp on, because we talked about it in the beginning that Mansa Bubakari II was the uncle of Mansa Musa. If Mansa Bubakari II had a son, Mansa Musa would have never become king, would never become the empire or the emperor. So he was not raised, he was not groomed to be king. So it's like that new money, right? Like, oh, my uncle just left, I became king, let's ball out, let's do it. And he wasn't instilled with the culture, with the lessons to groom the next king, because He was the first one. And I think a lot of us are in that situation, right? Where, we were given these gifts, we were given this mentorship from people before us, and now we're at a higher elevation that no one before us has ever been at. And we now need to learn, okay, how do I keep elevating? Right. How do I now make this wealth normal within our community? So yeah, unfortunately, Mansa Musa did not name his successor, did not name the heir. So when he died, there was just a lot of chaos among the huge empire of Mali, right? We're talking modern day Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Tao, Timbuktu. We're going all the way out. And it was just a huge geographic region. And now they're all fighting over power, over control, until eventually the whole entire kingdom just fell. So have a succession plan. And the queen was dropping bars about this the other day and how important it was. Anything you want to add on just making sure you have a succession plan for your family or structures to pass down wealth to your family?
Yeah, to kind of take it into like what this looks like in 2023, I think it's okay. You're doing all you can to build wealth for your family, but from a young, like teach them the value of money, teach them how to invest, right? There's so many things you can do for children, right? There's a lot of resources out there. You can, right? Instead of just, if they say they want some Cheetos or something at the grocery store, rather than just buying it for them every time, right? Have them start to do chores to earn money so that when they go to the grocery store, here's your allowance, here's your $5 bill, here's your $20 or whatever that you earned. Now you have to strategize and figure out how you're going to spend it.
It's going to hurt a little bit more too, spending their own money on
Cheetos.
Cheetos.
They're going to be like, do I actually want this? Or do I want the water little super soaker water gun or whatever, instead. And those decisions, though, will help them start to realize the value of money. And I think that this goes to a conversation we had on some episode about like the term like trust fund babies and how that's like a negative term. And I think part of why that's a negative term is because we assume they are people who just come on money and they don't know any of the value of it. They don't know what to do with it. And so I think it is our responsibility as the generation coming in, trying to change the trajectory to not only educate ourselves, but to educate the future generations on what to do with this money.
Yeah. You having trust fund babies?
Yes, we are.
Come on. Let's go. Shout out to all the trust fund babies in the making out there. But we appreciate y'all for tapping into this episode. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and leave a comment on which one of the lessons you feel like you were going to actually take action on and implement. Right. Our goal is to discuss wealth and marriage and make it normal, make it fun. And of course, if you appreciate this content, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Before we get on out of here, like, subscribe, that button right there. Before we get out of here, Queen, updates for the week that you would like to share. I know you usually do lit, so I don't know if that's the go-to.
That's all I got.
Rock the show.
We have a 10-week financial literacy program. Speaking of how you educate the next generation, we are talking the talk and walking the walk. We have a 10-week financial literacy program that we are doing with high schools, middle schools, and now elementary schools as well, that is teaching the foundations of how you look in your community, look in your household, look at your school, and identify a problem that you want to solve, and then create a business that solves that problem. So we're really trying to create the next wave of solutions-oriented entrepreneurs that are going to come onto the scene here in the next generation. So if that sounds like something that is interesting for you, or a student a school that you work at or attend, hit us up at info@playblackwallstreet.com so we can start to think about and talk about how we can serve your students. Right now, we're primarily in the Los Angeles area, but looking to expand to Southern California in general. So if you're in San Diego, the IE, San Bernardino, Rancho Cucamonga, anywhere in SoCal, hit us up and we will definitely start having some conversations.
There it is. Hit us up. We're excited. I'm going to be back in the classroom in the fall. We're training our new staff. We are just taking the entire lit program, Leaders Innovating Tomorrow, to the next level. So you definitely want to make sure you tap in. Something I just thought about, Queen, is we've been selling the board game since 2017. It's been a solid 6 years. I'm excited to get to 20 years in the game because I feel like then we'll get second generation Black Wall Street board game players. I say that like this was the first generation of families that were exposed to the board game,
Right.
and we're making a shift possibly away from a monopoly, away from a cash flow, away from another money management game, and playing something that was rooted in Black history. Right. And that the parents are loving it. They're giving it to these kids. The kids are sometimes loving it. Sometimes like, oh, I don't want to play. Just kidding. They love the game.
I've never
heard
a student,
never heard
or
that
a child say that
at all. No. So I gave a workshop the other day, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago for LUSD, and I had 2 workshop blocks, each an hour long. For the first 30 minutes, I gave a workshop on the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street, how to play the game. For the next 30 minutes, I let them play, and they didn't want to leave, so to let me do workshop number 2. It was a very interesting situation. But I say all that to say it's going to be exciting for the next generation of parents who grew up playing the board game to then buy the board game for their kids. And I feel like when that transition happens, we will then become a part of culture.
Yeah.
And that's going to be just dope to see. We'll still be pretty young. This is 13 years from now, right? So we'll be in our smooth, debonair 40s, but yeah, I think to see that culture shift is going to be really, really dope. Say all that to say, definitely if you haven't gotten your board game yet, if you're still wanting to teach the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street to your family and the lessons of financial literacy, financial empowerment, playblackwallstreet.com. Get yourself the board game. We got financial literacy flashcards coming. We got animated series coming. There's courses on that website. So go ahead and go to playblackwallstreet.com. Use the code the M4 show. You'll get 15% off anything you order. Go ahead. Change your life real quick. All right. Queen, you good?
I'm good.
Not gonna front with you. I love talking about Black history.
I'm sure.
I love talking about wealth. This may need to be like a new theme of the show where I just find different pockets of wealth, whether it's Black Wall Streets, whether it's people, whether it's African empires, African queens, and we just pull wealthy lessons and nuggets from that legacy. I'm a nerd out. You pull me back when it's too much.
Can we do one on Madam C.J. Walker?
That would be dope. Yes, we can. Stay tuned. I got to do some research. I got to buy some books. We'll be back for another episode.
The excitement, y'all. The excitement that's happening here. He's like, look, yeah, we can. Yeah. Disneyland.
Yeah, an excuse to buy some books. I just bought a Black History Studies encyclopedia. When I was growing up, Granny used to have me reading regular encyclopedias. I learned a lot of words, learned a lot of random stuff from that. So I'm bringing back to my childhood. It'll be fun.
Back to the roots.
Back to my roots. We appreciate y'all for tapping into the M4 show, Melanated Married Millionaires in the making. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
And I'm Sinclair, aka the health nerd.
Make sure y'all secure the marriage. Make sure y'all secure the love. And of course, make sure y'all secure the bag. Peace. Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all, any, do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, anything, all of them, all of them, wherever you're listening. Go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.